Alright, bear with me on this one. I have a severe, crippling addiction to carbonated beverages. I've been drinking this shit for as long as I can remember. There's something about this stuff that is irresistible to me. While I do partake in a good amount of water drinking, soda just tastes so much better. There are some people who pretend to be above soda, but if they could only realize the joys of corn syrup, their lives would improve tenfold. I'm not just an addict, though. I'm what you could call a connoisseur. I've tried every soda I can find in this world. Some are into the wine tasting scene, but soda tasting is much more interesting. And through my years of research, I have encountered several rare specimens that describe themselves as limited edition, and others that are just nigh impossible to find. In this video, I would simply like to share some of my findings. I just felt like talking about weird sodas, so that's what we're doing today. I'm a Dr. Pepper kind of guy. Coke is fine, though I prefer the diet version. And Pepsi is pretty good, but Dr. Pepper has always been my favorite since I was little. And it has had several variations in the past. Unfortunately, I've missed out on most. They had the iconic berries and cream flavor, which had marketing focused around a man so addicted to the flavor he could literally not stop drinking it. They had Red Fusion, which I can't find very much about. Apparently it was a cherry variant. Dr. Pepper Cream Soda is a recent and very popular addition to the Dr. Pepper repertoire, the Peppertoire as they call it. And it's about as good as normal Dr. Pepper, which is, as we've already explained, peak soda. Cream soda Dr. Pepper at this point has been around for 2 years, so this is far from limited. There was a secret flavor, only available to a select few, dark chocolate Dr. Pepper, which allegedly tastes like Dr. Pepper mixed with chocolate. Go figure. However, the most famous and recent limited edition Dr. Pepper is Dark Berry. This one only comes around every once in a while, and it's pretty good, I guess. I actually have some at the moment. It tastes just like regular Dr. Pepper, with a slight aftertaste or of something that's vaguely berry-esque. I don't know why, but this seems to be their Hollywood blockbuster flavor. The last time they brought it out was for Spider-Man Far From Home. That kind of makes sense because Mysterio had a globe thing on his head, and some berries, like blueberries, are globe-shaped vaguely. So that kind of makes sense, right? But dinosaurs for this new Jurassic Park movie and dark berries isn't a very good combination. Like, I don't think that dinosaurs eat berries. I think they eat people. And people don't taste remotely like dark berries from the accounts I've read, at least. So, like, what the hell, Dr. Pepper? Do better. Make Dino Bone flavored Dr. Pepper and then come back. Coke, as I said before, is my least favorite of the quote-unquote big three soda companies. It's not bad, mind you. It's just not anything special. I don't feel that satisfaction I get when I drink a nice cold bottled Pepsi or Dr. Pepper. It's just kind of bland soda. And that's like blasphemy where I live. You know, being in Atlanta, which is pretty close to the world of Coke, I like Coke fine. In fact, I've been conditioned to be soothed by the taste of Diet Coke from a can by my therapist. Coke has had numerous different forms introduced in the past few decades, though the most infamous one would have to be New Coke, a variant that was scientifically proven to taste better than both Coke and Pepsi. Yet somehow everyone hated it. Likely due to the fact that people fear change. See, in the South where I'm from, Coke is much more than just a drink. It's what most people call soda. People will go around and they'll say, I want a Coke, and they'll actually mean, I want a Pepsi. That's how bad we are. The only restaurant I can think of that offers Pepsi is like Papa John's. Otherwise, you'll have to go get it from a vending machine or a grocery store. Coke is ubiquitous, and changing it, making it new, no matter how good it is a cardinal sin. My mother, who's been a huge Coke head her whole life, still claims that Coke has never truly returned to its original recipe. But I wouldn't know. I wasn't alive for the change or anything before it. Coca-Cola has had a few flavor variants promoted by the common sight of a freestyle machine. Lime, lemon, orange vanilla, cherry zero, raspberry, just a bunch of different fruit flavors. These are all variants, but honestly, they aren't very interesting. You know what it is? Fucking Coca-Cola Energy. This shit sucks. They added coffee to Coke. It's carbonated coffee. That is disgusting. Alright, you're twisted for that. They also have this new stuff that's going around called Starlight, which is supposed to taste like space. Now, what does it actually taste like? Well, you know, snow cones, like shaved ice with like flavoring on it. There's this thing called Kona Ice. I don't know if Kona Ice is like an everywhere thing or if it's just like a local thing. But down here, we have this traveling truck of snow cones. They give you shaved ice, and you're allowed to put whatever flavors you want on it. There's this one flavor they have called Tiger's Blood, which tastes like something indescribable, but it's pretty good. Now, if you mix this Tiger's Blood flavor and mix it with blue cotton candy, another flavor in this Mystic Truck, you will have a snow cone that tastes exactly like Coca-Cola Starlight. The only difference being that Starlight is carbonated and there's way more sugar, causing it to be slightly challenging to finish a whole bottle. Not that it's bad, but it's overwhelming for me, and I'm someone who loves sweet flavors, so for someone who isn't quite acquainted with that, it's probably miserable. Coca-Cola Life is the worst flavor of Coke they ever made. Whoever decided to release this shit is a psychopath. It tastes like Coke with all the flavor drained. It's like soda water, basically. It is disgusting, and I'm overjoyed that they discontinued this stuff. While Coca-Cola itself doesn't have very many good or interesting flavor variants, there was one soda that the company made that may as well have been limited edition. And it is one of the most interesting soda stories there are. This is, of course, the Ballad of OK Soda. OK Soda was a soda made from the year 1993 to 1995, only lasting for 2 years if you can do math. You are going to think I'm making this shit up, but I swear to you it's real. The basic goal of OK Soda was to market to Generation X, a generation notoriously difficult to market to, at least they were back then. Now all you have to do is slap Star Wars or some other shit from their childhood on it, and they'll go crazy for it. But back then, they were very resistant to advertising. A lot of the general cultural ideas of that time were focused around irony and sarcasm. There was also an ulterior motive. See, Coke was the second most recognizable word in every language at that time, only second to OK. And if Coca-Cola could copyright OK, just think of the brand awareness that would bring. You may be thinking, who would buy a soda only described as OK? Well, if that's your biggest problem, let's talk about the marketing. This soda only appeared in select areas throughout the US and Canada, appearing in vending machines that looked like this, and 12-pack boxes that looked like this. The taste was described as a carbonated tree sap, or more favorably, a unique fruity flavor. These cans, in this gray and black and white sketchy style, were part of this absurdist marketing strategy, trying to make a soda people would buy ironically. If you went to one of these vending machines, there was a random chance that instead of getting a soda, you would get a prize can containing a hat or some other OK Soda merch and 50 cents to buy another can. The art on these cans was done by Daniel Close, and the mascot, this absolutely depressed-looking guy, was based on Charles Manson. The mass murderer Charles Manson, not some other Charles Manson. Because technically, they didn't say he couldn't make the mascot a mass murderer. The ads for this soda resembled a PSA, describing something horrible happening to someone because they didn't drink OK Soda, and that, while this is a coincidence, you can never be too safe. Usually ending with the person in the story deciding to exclusively drink OK Soda, at least 6 or 7 bottles a day. OK Soda also had a manifesto focused on nihilistic themes, with lines like, "Don't be fooled into thinking there's a reason for everything," or, "What's the point of OK? Well, what's the point of anything?" The fact that this thing existed at all is baffling. The fact it lasted 2 years is even worse. Honestly, I think that given time, more people will become aware of this Orwellian nightmare soda, and they might even bring it back for a limited time. But for now, this will be an enigma, a soda I haven't tried, but desperately want to, even though it'll probably only be okay. Pepsi is much better than Coke. I genuinely believe this. It just tastes better. It's sweeter, it has more flavor, it tastes good even when it's warm. Pepsi is just good. And Pepsi has had numerous different flavors released. While Coke is much more rigid and stuck in old traditions, Pepsi likes to play around with their recipes quite a lot, having made a ridiculous amount of variation. Over 100 to be specific. There have been gag flavors like cinnamon or peat, genuine attempts at branching out in like Pepsi cream soda and Pepsi Nitro, but the king of Pepsi variations is a legend I've been chasing for years. In 2016, I was walking through my local Target with my mom when I saw a curious soda bottle in one of the coolers. It was completely clear like water, but it was labeled as Pepsi, specifically Crystal Pepsi. Of course, I bought it, and when I opened it up to taste it, there was something uniquely delicious about it. It tasted kind of like Pepsi, but with a bit of a fruitier, less dark taste, which makes sense because they took out the caramel coloring, but the taste was distinct from any other soda I've ever had. I've been searching for this for years to try and taste this wondrous elixir once again, but my efforts have been futile. Just this week, I thought I had found a lead. A store only 17 miles from me in downtown Atlanta that claimed to have Crystal Pepsi in stock. I drove all the way there with a couple of friends and was sorely disappointed with what I found. They didn't have it. They had a wide variety of sodas, but there was no luck in the Crystal Pepsi front. It was a legend. A lie. Any Crystal Pepsi you find for sale online is expired and or ridiculously expensive. The company recently did a very limited release of Crystal Pepsi. A stupidly limited release, I might add. A social media stunt where people would post pictures of themselves in the 90s, and 300 of the luckiest participants would be rewarded with a mere 6-pack of Crystal Pepsi. I only was able to have 3 bottles of Crystal Pepsi in my entire life, back during the re-release in 2016. And those 3 bottles were some of the best sodas I've ever had. There is demand for Crystal Pepsi. At least more demand than a fucking Peep flavor. More demand than a stupid social media contest can satiate. I call out to you, Pepsi. Hear my plea. Bring back Crystal Pepsi. Not for a 2-month re-release. Not for a social media stunt. Not in a wedding ring. Bring it back for the masses to enjoy. But instead of ending this video on a sour note, let's end strong with the king of soda variants, Mountain Dew. Normal Mountain Dew is a pretty mediocre soda. I'll be the first to say that. But for some reason, Mountain Dew is also the name that some of the best sodas ever go under. There are enough flavors of Mountain Dew that there is an entire wiki with an in-depth timeline of Mountain Dew flavors. This shit is insane. Take, for example, Baja Blast, a flavor I personally am not too keen on, however one that has a huge level of importance in the Dew community. Originally being a Taco Bell exclusive, people have gone to great lengths for Baja Blast, if going to Taco Bell isn't a great enough length. One person even went as far as to engineer a device to steal a few gallons of Baja Blast from Taco Bell discreetly so he could drink it at home. It seems every few months a new flavor of Dew will be released for a short amount of time. There are so many flavors of Mountain Dew out at once that my local grocery stores have to pick and choose which ones they carry. There are currently 5 flavors listed on the wiki as permanent, those being Classic, Code Red, Voltage, Major Melon, and Spark. And while this could just be because of the area I'm in, it is rare to see more than 3 in a store at once. For example, they have at one grocery store, a Kroger, they have Spark, Major Melon, and Classic. Another Kroger has Classic, Code Red, and Melon. As a Voltage enjoyer, I have to go out to Walmart for the chance to get my hands on a 12-pack of my second favorite soda. But of course, Walmart also has the exclusive flavor Frostbite, which is just Voltage but with a slightly different taste and color. And also there's a shark on it. Also, it's Walmart, so it's a war zone in there. It's a danger to get this soda. And looking at Mountain Dew, there's something I realize about soda variations. To an outsider, this must seem absurd. People going great lengths to have a chance to try a variation of their favorite soda. Even my 17-mile journey to Atlanta for a chance to have another taste of Crystal Pepsi must seem like the actions of a genuinely insane person. Soda is just carbonated sugar water, and you're all stupid for liking it, you may say as you drink from your Evian water bottle. But first of all, they have different flavors, and second of all, it's more than just a drink. It's an experience. When people drink soda, there's a distinct flavor and taste, and that taste gets encoded into their memories. All of the times I've sat down to write or record a video with a Dr. Pepper, or the times I've spent with my dad sharing a Dr. Pepper cream soda, I remember. I remember several nights spent playing Super Smash Bros. Melee or Terraria with my friends and a Mountain Dew Voltage or Code Red by my side. Getting that first Crystal Pepsi at a store that is no longer open is a great memory for me. This is silly, I realize, but I love soda. It tastes delicious. I want to end this with another Soda Quest story. During the height of the pandemic, it was impossible to find Mountain Dew Voltage anywhere near me. See, Voltage to me is more than a soda. It is deeply associated with friendship in my mind. Every time my friends would come over, I'd have a 12-pack of Voltage, we'd all share it, and like I said before, I'd always have some when we'd play online games. Even before the pandemic, I was deprived of it. I was in a very scary, dark place for most of 2018 and 2019, where I was even more alone than I'd ever been before. And after I got out, I started to reconnect with the people I loved and make new friendships as well. But then the pandemic started and threw me back into loneliness. It wasn't as bad, but I was still depressed. And yeah, it's stupid, right? But man, having a little bit of the soda I so strongly associated with joy would have just made things a little bit more bearable. With the supply chain being fucked up, this weird side flavor wasn't being delivered nearly as much as the staple flavor of Mountain Dew, and so it was impossible to find. But near the beginning of this year, I got my driver's license and a car, and one day decided that I would go out and find Mountain Dew Voltage, no matter what it took. But everywhere I went, I found nothing. Major Melon and Spark were everywhere, but there was no Voltage. On my way home, dejected and defeated, I stopped at the local CVS, figuring I could at least pick up some candy or something. And in the soda cooler, there it was, Mountain Dew Voltage. I hadn't seen it in so long. It was redesigned, but it was undeniably my favorite Mountain Dew. The joy I felt when I got to taste it again is hard to describe. It was a silly and minor victory, but it felt like a triumph. I had endured so much stress over the past 4 years, and it felt like it was finally starting to wind down. It felt like I could finally be happy again for real. See, Voltage and other special sodas are something we put in our bodies. And yeah, maybe it's not very good for them, but who the fuck cares? Maybe I'll die a couple years earlier, but still, living to 68 isn't that much different than living to 70. I like them, and you probably like them too if you've watched this far into the video. These things are absorbed into us. They literally become a part of us, and having these memories or feeling these emotions about them is something special all on their own. Special soda variations aren't just special in the fact that they aren't the normal flavor. They're special in the memories and the feelings they create. And I think that's just really cool. And also, it's why soda is way better than water.